Hello everyone, welcome back to our math class. Today in this video, we are going to talk about how to create graph for the polynomial. We are going to use some information such as zero functions, leading coefficient to give a very draft graph for the polynomial. The reason we said that because the graph today is not going to be very detailed information. We cannot know every single point of polynomial. However, using this very initial draft of the graph, we can easily tell the zero function. We can also use it to determine the end behavior for the graph. So let's get started. The first thing we want to do is we are going to have a quick review regarding the zero function. So as we know, zero function, also called x-intercepts, also called roots, is where the graph touch the x-axis. As you can see the graph here, we have 5 zeros, and they are negative, oh sorry, it's actually 2. Negative 3, negative 2, 0, 2, and 3. And also another thing I want you to pay special attention here is the wave, the graph of polynomial, when they go across the zeros, is actually go cross. You can see the wave is go cross the zeros of function. And also sometimes we will see the graph look like that, like turn at the point like this. This is also zeros, but in this case, it's only touch the x-axis, not really go cross. So that's the situation when we give the graph of the polynomial, they just go cross or touch the zeros. So we're going to use this idea to help us to create a graph of polynomial. So let's see the first question here. The first question says zero of polynomial function, we have 3, 0 here, 2, negative 2, 4. Then we are going to give possible sketch for the graph. Let's check what are the possible answers we can do. First, I'm going to label the x-axis. So it's easy for me to locate zeros here. And also do not forget, when we label this, you want to make sure the scale is proper set up, not wider or narrower in the different places. And then I just start thinking, oh, the 3 zeros is 2, negative 2, and 4. So now I just need to make sure this wave go across this 3, 1. So I can just go from the left, surround the top, and then go to 2, then last is 4. Some student was wondering, can I do something different, like I go to this, but I'm going to go through from the different direction. I'm not going to go from the top. Instead, I'm going from the bottom, which is also fine. But remember, your key information here, you need to make sure the graph is going through all these 3 zeros as given for the information. So this time I'm going from the bottom to the left. And remember, you want to make sure it's all goes through the zeros here. Of course, the wave can go up or down or higher or lower, doesn't matter. But as you can see, these two graphs has very different ideas here. This one, the leading coefficient is negative because right side you can see going down, but this one is positive. So it's different. However, if you draw something a little bit different, like go beyond your general thinking, you probably can create another one. So instead, to go through the zeros, I can also create a graph, actually touch the zero. How does it look like? I will give you an example here, okay? For example, when I go from the bottom, I'm not going to go through this. I'm going to touch this and then turn right here. And then I can go graph like that. See? This is another possible. As you can see, zeros is 3, 0 here. It's not really go cross anything. But at this point, I just turn out here. They still have zeros here, so it's still a possible solution. So as you can see, since zeros function, this is only information we have here, so we really can create as many graphs as possible. Just go beyond your imagination. Now let's check another example. This time we have more information. Besides having the 4 zeros here, we also have a negative leading coefficient. So this time, again, like Euro, we need to set up the x-axis first, make sure everything is labeled. Since it's 5, so I'm going to label as 5 here and have more here. So I'm going to go from negative 3, and let's see what's going on later. So for example, I go from the top. Okay, so negative 3, the next one is 1. Then, okay, make sure it's touching the 1, and then 1, then 5. Okay, when I finish this, let's see. This has negative leading coefficient. When I check the right side, it goes up. So wow, the leading coefficient for this one is actually positive. So apparently it is not a good choice, right? So now when we set up, we know, oh, we actually made a mistake. So how do we revise it? As we know, in order to make the polynomial has negative leading coefficient, the right side gonna goes down. So since we go from here, so I'm gonna go totally the opposite way of this. So let's redraw this one. So it's gonna be -3, then -1. Oh, sorry for that. Just make sure it go crosses clearly. Then 1 and 5. Also, another thing, as you can see, it's always a good idea to use pencil to graph because that way you are not going to, it's easy for you to revise mistakes. As you can see, the right side goes down, so leading coefficient is actually negative. So now it fits idea. But as I mentioned before, we do have situation you can actually create a graph by using zeros, but this time you don't need to touch them. So I just want to give you a different idea regarding how do you create a graph actually touching the zeros but not go across it. So this is go from like this. I'm going to go through this one, but this time I'm going to go just touch this, and then I'm going to go -1, then 1, then 5. And as you can see, the right side goes down, right? So this one leading coefficient also negative. So that's why, since the information just tell us negative leading coefficient, they didn't tell us anything about zeros. So this is also possible answer. So I just share this information with you and try to open your mind to see what are the possibilities. Of course, if we do have different situations like telling you the degree of polynomial, then we actually have to limit the final answer as possible only one kind. Okay, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you find this video helpful, and thank you for studying this topic with me. See you soon, everyone.